ਕੈਨੇਡਾ ਦੀ ਕੰਜ਼ਰਵੇਟਿਵ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੇ ਲੀਡਰ ਵਜੋਂ ਐਰਿਨ ਓਟੂਲ ਦੀ ਥਾਂ ਲੈਣ ਲਈ ਤਿਆਰ ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰ ਪਾਰਟੀ ਦੁਆਰਾ ਆਯੋਜਿਤ 3 ਅਧਿਕਾਰਿਤ ਲੀਡਰਸ਼ਿਪ ਬਹਿਸਾਂ ਦੇ ਆਖਰੀ ਦਿਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਆਮੋ ਸਾਹਮਣੇ ਨੇ। ਸਕਾਟ ਐਚਿਸਨ, ਰੋਮਨ ਬੇਬਰ ਅਤੇ ਜੀਨ ਚਾਸਿਸ ਬਹਿਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਹਿੱਸਾ ਲਿਆ ਗਿਆ। ਉਮੀਦਵਾਰ ਲੇਸਲਿਨ ਲੇਵਿਸ ਅਤੇ ਪੀਅਰੇ ਪੋਲੀਵਰੇ ਦੋਵਾਂ ਨੇ ਹਾਜ਼ਰ ਹੋਣ ਤੋਂ ਇਨਕਾਰ ਕਰ ਦਿੱਤਾ ਸੀ। ਪਾਰਟੀ ਵੱਲੋਂ 10 ਸਤੰਬਰ ਨੂੰ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਵੇਂ ਨੇਤਾ ਦਾ ਐਲਾਨ ਕੀਤਾ ਜਾਏਗਾ।
After all 7 years, you think this can't be done? I guarantee you one thing, I'm Prime Minister of this country. It will be done. We will do what we have to do to fix this. It is inadmissible that Canada would accept this. And for Indigenous Canadians, what we need is to help them develop their leadership and an economic base for their communities. One of the things I want to do is a federal Indigenous Opportunities Corporation. I'm stealing a book out of what Alberta did, so that we offer Indigenous leaders and communities the opportunity to participate in their economic development, not just by receiving royalties or passing on their land, but actually owning equity in projects. That is the kind of change that will be consequential and real for Indigenous Canadians. Same thing for housing. In this leadership race, housing is a big issue. Scott's just raised it. I think Indigenous Canadians should have a program run by them for Indigenous Canadians. That's the kind of real-time leadership that the country needs.
We have to be honest and learn from our history so we don't repeat it. But dividing Canadians like Justin Trudeau does actually hurts reconciliation. The best thing we can do for reconciliation is to improve the lives of Indigenous peoples. We still have hundreds of communities in Canada that don't have clean water, and we've been talking about this for 20 years. We can make water out of air now. There are no more excuses. I'm going to get water done by the end of my first term. But there is no improving lives without safety and dignity. Many reserves are experiencing lawlessness and violence. We must protect Indigenous people and especially Indigenous women. We must stop pretending that this isn't happening. We must defend all Canadians, and that means instructing law enforcement to defend Canadians who live on reserves. And generally, let's stop being afraid and start rethinking life on the reserve. Imagine not owning your own property. Imagine being told by a chief that you no longer live in your home and that someone else is now going to occupy your home. I'm not going to pay lip service, and I'm not going to play pretend. I'm going to work with the new generation of Indigenous leaders and Indigenous business leaders to improve the lives and safety of Indigenous Canadians. Home ownership improves communities and the quality of life. Let's get it done.
I would say that this has really been the most important theme of my campaign, is one of respect. And this, I would say, is where our institutions have most failed First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. You think about the question, relationship. It hasn't been a relationship for generations in this country. It's been a top-down, patriarchal kind of approach. And in some cases, early on, it was about, erasing Indigenous First Nations culture. And so I look at what has gone on, and Jean spoke a little bit about this. In the last 6 years, the Liberals have completed 12 of the 94 recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Report. 12. In 2020, they completed a grand total of 0. And in 2021, when hundreds of unmarked graves were discovered at residential schools, the Liberals completed 3 within the span of a month. So why did it take such a horrible discovery for the Liberals to take action? It's because they don't take action. They're about photo ops and talk and not action. And so as Conservative leader and as Prime Minister, I would start from a position of a real relationship, which is about respect.